It's really fascinating going into a bee yard and seeing all of the personalities of each beehive. They all have different abilities and pros and cons to them. And that ultimately has to do primarily with the queen herself. The queen is the only bee in the hive that can actually create more life. So the queen is solely responsible for dropping eggs in each of the cells inside the hive, and she may lay anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 eggs a day. What we're doing today is grafting queens. When we're grafting queens, we're actually grafting the larvae. And all we're doing is we're taking a frame of larvae from recently hatched eggs, and we're moving those into movable cell cups and then putting all of those movable cell cups into a finisher hive. Now we have our 2 grafting frames. And next time we come back here, we will have them filled with larvae and we'll put them right back into these hives. You could graft from any queen out there. The trick is to know which queen you actually want to propagate. That's where it really comes down. And any beekeeper can make that determination based off of their subjective, metrics of success. We're here at the hive yard with the breeder queen that we'd like to propagate. So what I'm going to do is go inside the hive and I'm going to find a frame of eggs and recently hatched eggs that have entered their first larval stage. So there's some older larvae. Some of these may be graftable. I have a different idea, I think, than some other beekeepers about what I view as success or what I view as high quality in a queen. We select for strong, resilient bees that can make it through a Colorado winter, that are gentle and docile and fun to work with. So I'll take this one, kind of hunt for red October it. Sometimes beekeepers are fine with aggression if it means that they produce a much larger honey crop. And for our operation at Boulder Valley Honey, we do a lot of education with the community. We like people visiting our beehives. So lack of aggression and docility is really important for our bees. We're going to use a brush and just gently brush them into the hive and off the frame so that we can use this one. So you don't want to shake this frame either because it would dislodge the larva that we hope to graft. We've waited until that egg, which starts vertical, it hatches where it dissolves that outer coating and it falls down in the cell, and then it starts to curl around like a C. And before it really starts to curl, we're going to use a tool that's a small bit of plastic to get underneath. And we're going to lift that out carefully without rolling it because they're sitting in a pool of royal jelly, which is fat and protein. And if we flip it, then it will drown because it is actually respirating through the top of its body. And so we have to carefully get underneath it and pull it up. And then we transfer it into a cup that we then put on a frame and can bring back to those hives I set up this morning. There's 2. Larvae are incredibly small, so the egg starts off and it's about 1/8 of a grain of rice. And then that hatches and falls down sideways and gets even smaller, and that's what we're trying to graft. We are regulating the humidity and temperature of the recently grafted larvae while we head back to the farm to put them in their frames and ultimately into the finisher hives. It's about 92 degrees Fahrenheit and roughly 50 to 60% relative humidity. So we've wrapped them in damp towels and they're blasted by the sun right now in the dash of a hot truck cab. And so that works for the 5 minutes that we need to drive them to get them into the hive. And then once they're in the hives, the bees do a really good job keeping all of these at the ideal bee conditions. Today I woke up and I took a 3-box just monster honey production beehive here on the farm, and I collapsed it effectively into 1 box. So I put the queen below, and in fact there's a board on top, so the bees above cannot even smell her. And so by making them queenless the day of the graft, you can come back later in a few hours after you've done all of your work, and they will very readily accept those grafted larvae. Once the grafted larvae make their way back into the finisher hive, the nurse bees just swarm each individual larva. I mean, there's hundreds of nurse bees just tending to each cup. And after 12 to 14 days, the queen cells are actually ready to emerge. And the issue is, if they emerge inside the hive, the first queen out will go through and stab all of the other queen cells inside of that finisher. So we have them on movable cups so that we can make splits, we can make small nucleus hives, and introduce 2 of these queen cells in each of these nukes. So then she'll go on her mating flight, and she will begin to lay in that nucleus hive, and then you have a new beehive.